Hello there, this is Mark Smith with Family Tree Counseling, and y'all have heard Mr. Pauly in the background, and I just wanted to show you him. He wants to go run. I have sort of a strange and silly and perhaps maybe sweet video for you this week. The title of the video is Magic Moments in Narcissistic Abuse Syndrome Recovery. Normally when I do a video, I don't have a prop. I've got about 8 of them, including Mr. Pauly, who you just saw. Narcissistic abuse syndrome recovery is so hard. It is so painful. There are many times when you don't know if you're going to live through it. And I got to play a piece of music for you. This is Israel Kamakawulu, something like that. And Iz was born in 1959, the year I was born, so he would be 57 had he have lived. But this beautiful, beautiful voice comes from a man who at one point was over 750 pounds. He's Hawaiian, and the idea for this video came from hearing this song this week, because I associate this song with my recovery process more than any other sound. And the reason why is when I was getting massages and doing really deep emotional healing, many times the massage therapist, Deb Ward from St. Joe, Michigan, she was playing this on her little iPhone, and it's very beautiful and it's very healing, and that is one of the magical things that sustained me. When you're going through this horrific experience, you have to hold on to little God moments. You have to hold on to little precious bits of light that might shine upon you. And I thought of 16, the first being this wonderful song by Iz. And I just wanted to share them with you. And if you're in your adult self, you're going to think, gee, Mark is a little kid. And you're right. I'm a man, but when your walls are so shattered, the wounded little kid comes out. And there were some things that sustained me and gave me joy and gave me creativity and gave me positive energy. And I share this because I want you not to miss those things. They're little slivers of grace that the universe gives you, that God gives you. And I want you to snatch hold of those and never let them go. This song will always be a treasure to me. And I wanted to share 15 other treasures that sustained me. And without these little bitty bits of grace, I don't know if I would have made it. Before we start, though, last week I was talking about, I quoted some Breaking Bad characters, and since I have props this week, my first prop I want to share is I got bobbleheads this week of Breaking Bad, Walt or Heisenberg and Jesse. Yeah, I'm a little kid. I can't tell you how much joy I've gotten from those little things. My daughter saw them in Barnes & Noble at 50% off, and I went and bought some, and then I went back and bought some more. But those aren't necessarily one of the things that gave me joy and sustained me. But since I was quoting Breaking Bad last week, I just thought I'd throw in my cute little bobblehead dolls. So the second one I wanted to talk about, and if you guys have watched my videos for the past year, I've been really making videos since April on this, and some of those I was so raw we had to take down, but I started making videos on PTSD back in last June. But I don't know where I purchased this, but it's just a little ceramic heart, and I'd actually bought 3 of them, and this was before I knew that my particular borderline didn't love me and was planning to discard me. So I bought 3 of these. One was from my house and one I was going to give to her. And this one is a little dinged up, as is my actual heart. When I first started working with my very talented therapist, Paul Hartman, in South Haven, Michigan, he's since moved to Ann Arbor. I would pace back and forth in the room like a tiger, and I would touch one end of the wall with this, and that's how it got marked up, and I just kept pacing back and forth. I'll take this jacket off. So I can't tell you how much something as silly as this sustained me, because it represented my heart. It represented the sacredness of my heart, and there was just something simple and sweet and spiritual about it, and it sustained me. And I keep this at work, where I see clients, where I see Skype clients, and where I see in-person clients, and it's always within reach. And every now and again, as I'm working with people, I reach over and just grab hold, and it feels like grabbing hold of power, the power of love. The next thing I wanted to share was when I was in St. Joe, Michigan last year, there was this wonderful spa called Revive, and I spent a lot of time there tending to the PTSD symptoms in my body. There was a thing, I called it the steamy thing, and it was basically a machine where your face was sticking out, but the rest of your body was like a really intense steam treatment with like various vitamins and smells and fragrances. And it was just a really wonderful experience. You got done and you were exhausted and you felt wonderful. In the waiting room there, they had a foot massager machine, and you'd sit there and get your feet massaged, and you'd be wearing a robe, and they'd bring you a cup of tea. You were in heaven. I'd go there and jump in my robe and stay in it all day long, just going from one treatment to another. And the steamy thing was a magical experience that gave me sustenance. It gave me a little bit of nurturing from my body when I desperately, desperately needed it. Then I would walk about half a block and I would go to Shannon Grow Counseling, and it was just Shannon and this old office, and she had an iPad with a big ball on it, and it went back and forth, and I followed it with my eyes, and we dug into the wounds of my childhood. Oh my goodness, I cried. I think I had several of the most powerful therapy sessions of my life in this old building with a therapist who was struggling with her own stuff. And I hadn't shopped around a lot for an expert in narcissistic abuse. I just was blessed. Sometimes you just get blessed. So those were my early on special memories. And now I want to share a little bit about the magic of when I was in treatment at On-Site. And there's just so many things that were special and magical for me. One of the things that happened was, and I'm telling stories on myself that are embarrassing, but I got a card from this woman when I was in the treatment center, and I'd get one card trying to con me and one card, preparing me for discard, and it was really messing with me. So I decided that I would burn the card, and in the day before, we had lit the fireplace in the main building where the food is served, this big Victorian house where there's nice rooms to eat, and then there's rooms upstairs where people stay. And I put that card in there and lit it up, and the flue wasn't open, and it ended up putting smoke throughout the whole house. And I had left, and the building had to be cleared. No, we couldn't have breakfast in the building. The fire department was called. It was a big deal, and I didn't have to fess up and say, hey, that was me, but I did. I just told the overnight supervisor, hey, that was me. And he was so kind and so gracious, and there was no judgment. But it was actually a funny, magical moment. As I went back there the next year, I joked with him about that. Another really cool memory was, or artifact, is this necklace here. I would wear this on days where we were really going to dig in and do a lot of group work, and I would wear a sort of a black skull cap, and I showed up at group like a Mandingo warrior because I felt like I was fighting for my life. And this was my Mandingo warrior necklace, and it gave me the energy and the fight of a warrior, and it helped me. Just something as simple as that, something as simple as this can help you. then one day we did sand tray therapy. You know, there's so many ways to heal. We did equine therapy. We did dance therapy. I'll talk about dance therapy in a little bit, but and please be gracious with me. I'm taking a real risk in sharing these stories because if you haven't been through this, you're not going to understand. But if you have been through it, you're going to dig it. So the object or the animal that I connected with the most, of course, was a tiger, because Peter Levine says trauma is like there's a tiger in the room. And so we were doing sand tray therapy, and I came across this little tiger, and I absconded with it. And when you're in a treatment center, you don't have keys, you don't have a cell phone, you don't have a wallet. I would get up in the morning, put my Mandinka warrior necklace on, put my tiger in my pocket, and then I also found a beautiful marble in the sand tray work, and it really doesn't symbolize anything. It's just beautiful. My daughter is an artist, and even when she was little, she would say, "Dad, I love beautiful things." And I'm like my daughter, I like beautiful things. So here I was, a grown 56-year-old man, walking around the campus of the treatment center with his little tiger and his marble. This sustained me. This gave me so much joy. It still does. I keep these in my home office right by my monitor, and sometimes when I'm working with people, I'll pick them up and draw from the energy of these artifacts of magic and artifacts of life and creativity that sustained me through the darkest moments of my life. I'll share one night, we got together, everybody in the treatment center, and everybody, when you walked in, you were to grab an instrument, a tambourine, a little drum. They were percussion instruments of some sort. And this gal who had a horrific abuse in her background story, who seemed so normal and so healed, she led that, and we danced and we played the drums, and it was like so friggin' cool. And some of the therapists would then at the end, you'd go out, and if you moved, they would start playing the drums, and then at the end I did that, and I just had a ball. I had so much fun. Before I was shattered, I wasn't much of a dancer in that I was sort of inhibited. But now you put music on, I just start dancing. I don't care what I look like. I don't care if I don't dance well. I have a blast. And I shared last time that on July 4th, when it was torrentially raining and the fireworks show was canceled, 4 of us opened up the doors of the main treatment area, and we went out into the torrential rain, and we danced to really good music. And one of my buddies there sort of danced like Snoopy. And that was the best July 4th of my life. Cut off from friends, cut off from families, but that was a piece of magic from God. That was a piece of magic from the universe that fed my soul. I'll never forget that. That was so special. Man, when it gets dark in the background, I really lighten up, don't I? One day, this was probably my darkest hour at the treatment center. I was so sad. I was so shocked. I thought this woman loved me. I didn't know who she was. And I hadn't heard from her, and it was clear that it was going to end really badly, and it ended horrifically. And I was so sad, and I was lonely, and I wasn't with my friends. It was right around my birthday and Father's Day. And my roommate, a fellow who didn't have a lot of verbal skills, but when you're at on-site, you can take a walk through the woods and then go down a hill, and there's a stream, and you can walk in the stream. It's really cool. And I walked with this man in the stream, and he found these special rocks. I don't know what they were, but they were they had some kind of inner filling to them. I don't know what they were, but I still have one up in my room, and it reminds me of a guy I wasn't all that close to, but he was sweet, and he was sincere, and he was working his butt off, and he and I walked the streams, and until it got dark, and it was friendship, and it was supporting each other, and it was a little sliver of light. It was a little sliver of God. It was a little sliver of magic. At on-site, there's a therapist there named Maria Turley, and she does trauma treatment, and I wanted to give a shout out to her because she helped me so much. She was incredibly talented, and we did some EMDR, and we did some therapy. I don't even know what they were. I just know some tapping. You guys know about the tapping, but she was able to be my enlightened witness, my sacred witness, and able to see the level of trauma my body was in, and was able to reach in and give me hope and really bring some healing magic to the process just through all of her training. As I said, we did some equine therapy the last time I was there, and that was super powerful for me because you could either focus on the horse, but they didn't like that if you weren't paying attention to where you were going. They knew you weren't in charge, and they would shut down. But if you would just focus on where you were going, but you wouldn't have relationship with the horse, then they would shut down. So it's just like being interdependent in a relationship. Is you have to be really connected to yourself, you have to know where you're going, but you also have to be present with the other person. It's really hard to do. You got to be pretty healthy to pull that off. So I got taught about interdependency and connection by a horse. That was cool. That was magical. At the end of my last trip this early summer, May, I believe it was, the last day, they played some really good music, and we all just celebrated. We celebrated the work we'd done, and I don't think anybody was being inhibited. It was a celebration of joy. It was a celebration of love. It was a celebration of recovery. One of the really, really super cool things was they had a labyrinth. It's a thing where you walk and you meditate, and it's sort of like a maze, and you just follow it, and it's a relatively small circle, but it takes you about 7 minutes to walk all the way through it if you're walking, sort of a medium pace. And it's real spiritual. And then you get to the center of the labyrinth, and there's like this altar, there's this big rock, and people can leave little tokens on it. It could be a piece of jewelry, it could be a note, it could be a flower. But I remember in several of my programs, it ended with us walking the labyrinth in complete and sacred silence. And then they had somebody from a field come walking, playing the bagpipes. And wow, that was just stunningly powerful. As you reflected upon your life, your journey, your healing, your wounds, your childhood, to have somebody, walking towards you playing the bagpipes as you're walking through this labyrinth, really, it was one of the most spiritual moments of my life, and I got to experience it twice. Magic, magic, magic. Very special, very sweet. So the last one, if you thought these other ones were silly, the last one is perhaps the silliest of all. But I had shared with you guys in one of my videos early on that I read a book by a guy named Kamel Ravikant. And it's a book called Love Yourself as if your life depends on it. As if your life depended on it. And you know what? Your life does depend on it. The quality of your life and your journey is in direct proportion to how much you genuinely care for and love yourself. And I was in a moment in time where I was just so broken, so sad, so tearful, so weak. And I would get up in the morning, and Kamel is a guy who's in technology in the San Francisco area. And he's not a therapist. He's just a guy who figured out something that worked. And what worked for him was he'd turn music on for 7 minutes, and his meditation was he would just sit there and say, I love myself. I love myself. On the breathing in, and then breathing out, he would share, there's a penguin. He would share whatever came to his mind. And he said, get an object that represents your inner child and sort of hold it and snuggle it while you're telling yourself, I love myself. So I got, of course, a cute little tiger, and I would hold it, and as I was clinging on to life, I would say, with music playing, it was from Dances with Wolves, the movie from long ago, and it was about love. And then I knew 7 minutes was up because there was a song about suicide, and it was like all threatening and dark. So I knew when the 7 minutes was up. And I'd hold my inner Mark, my inner warrior, my inner tiger, and I love myself. Even if she doesn't love me, I love myself. I have a bright future. I love myself even though my mom didn't connect with me. I love myself because I'm very special. And I just did that for 7 minutes, and you know what? It worked. It healed some things in me, and it instilled a sense of dignity and self-respect and self-love and self-esteem and power through this cute little tiger and 7 minutes of my time and an idea from a man in San Francisco who just found something that works. So that's pretty much what I had to share with you folks is everything isn't drudgery in this journey of narcissistic abuse syndrome. It's not all tears and hopelessness and darkness. There's a lot of that, There's a whole lot of that, but there's also sacred moments that you'll never forget. I'll never forget this song and how it made me feel, because I associated it with healing. I associated it with hope, and it gave me life-sustaining faith in the process of recovery. And I've got my little things that gave me hope. And if you'll think about it, there's probably a song, there's probably a poem, there's probably a picture, there's probably some objects that you connected with and you had energy with. Clutch onto those, never let them go. Let them be part of you. Let them be part of your story. Celebrate them. Dance in the rain. Dance with the drums. Get that instilled deep in your spirit that you're here for a reason, and you're not going to let this thing destroy you. You're not going to let this thing beat you. Be a Mandinka warrior and fight with everything that you have in yourself, and cry the tears and do the work and walk through the labyrinth of your life with sacredness and prayerfulness, and enjoy it when there are little, magical bagpipe moments. Those moments will get you through your darkest hour if you'll hold on to them. So I have homework for you. I have all these little prompts, and now I've got some homework for you, and that is make a list. Think about your process of recovery. You might be in recovery for 5 weeks, or you might have been in recovery for 5 years, but I want you to make a list of all your magical moments, or your magical objects, your magical memories. Make a list. And if you don't have these things close, find them and keep the energy close, and play your special songs and share them with your friends and tell your story. I love you guys. And this process of healing, it works. I'm telling you, I feel so much better. If you'd have told me 6 months ago I would feel this good, I would have told you were crazy. But crying the tears and having the insight and doing the self-care and doing the exercise and juicing and holding your inner child and doing meditation and hanging out with recovery friends and seeing good therapists and doing EMDR, it adds up and it works. So I just want to instill hope in you that there's a plan. You're going through this for a reason, okay? You invited this horrific vampire into your life to reenact some stuff that you needed to reenact and to heal some stuff that you needed to heal. But as you walk through it and as you get healthier, you're going to be blessed. You're going to be a better, more joyful, more healthy, more rigorous, more intuitive version, more creative version of yourself than you've ever had before. So it's all good. Blessings come very much in disguised, sometimes very much disguised. If you haven't joined our YouTube channel, do that. You know I've got books on familytreecounseling.com. Find the magic, people. God bless.